It looks like Semenyo and Guehi are going to Manchester City. If it's not been confirmed already, it looks like it is going to be. Look, I've got to be honest with you. I think these are two incredibly good signings for Manchester City. I've got to be honest with you. I think they're two of the best in the league in their position. And I think it's fair to say that they're going to strengthen Manchester City. Now, what happens to Arsenal? I've already spoken about players we're monitoring, players we're linked with, and the rumours for this month's transfer window. But I think let's just concentrate on what this means. The reason this could change everything is because what it now does is it solidifies Manchester City's defence. Mark Guehi, for me, is probably more worrying of a signing than anyone else that Manchester City could buy in their attack because we all know what Haaland's about, Foden, Cherky, the lot. I think what Mark Guehi does is he just solidifies it, but he also brings in an element of quality. I truly believe, alongside Gabriel, he's been one of the best centre halves this season in the Premier League. And actually, I'll go one further. I think he's been one of the best performing centre halves for the last 2 or 3 seasons at Crystal Palace. I think he's been exceptional for England. I think he's come and cemented that centre half position alongside either a Konza or a Stones or whoever. I think Guehi's one of the first centre backs you'd put on the list right now for England. And what that's going to do for Manchester City is give them that strength in depth. Now, I know that there's other teams that are linked with him. Liverpool were highly linked with him in the summer. And it looks now like Manchester City are going to get that guy. Now, I don't think it's a bad signing. People will say, why would you spend money on him now? Wait to get him on a free in the summer. Manchester City are trying to win trophies now, not next year. And Manchester City have put forward a proposal which will probably respectfully tempt Mark Guehi and Crystal Palace to selling him. And it's an excellent piece of business. Now, let's not forget, on top of the fact that Manchester City have lost both their centre halves in Gvardiol for most of, if not the whole season, with a broken leg. And then, of course, you've got Diaz, who's out for a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks. That now means that Manchester City have Kuzanov and Ake as their only centre backs. And they've had to call one of the young lads back from Watford. Now, I've got to be honest with you, Manchester City, their strength and depth is nowhere near the level of Arsenal. They've probably got 11 that people will say he's better, he's better, he's better. We don't have a Haaland, we don't have a I get it. But for me, you look at the squad depth of Manchester City and it isn't as strong as it has been. It isn't the 25 players that you look at and think, wow, they'd walk into any side in the world. It isn't that now. But it does worry me because they've reacted and they're acting like the proper club that they are. Let's just say it how it is. They run well. They've been fantastically run for the last decade. And I look at what Manchester City have done right now, and it's react to a crisis. It's do something about a problem. And I've seen for many times, not just Arsenal Football Club, many football teams that just look at their squad and think, nah, we'll just see how it plays out. And Arsenal did that, people, last January. Remember, we were struggling for a striker. We could have gone and done something in that Champions League, but we wanted to do it with Marino up front instead of going out there and trying to get somebody, even if it was an Ollie Watkins or a João Pedro or somebody to come in. We didn't do that. We decided not to. And Manchester City have not done that. They've decided to act. And Mark Guehi coming in at centre half, we all know the physical presence. He can play in this league. He's Premier League proven. And I know sometimes people laugh at that, but I think Premier League proven and doing well in the Premier League is very, very different. Because you can look at Harry Maguire as being Premier League proven, but if they signed him, a lot of people would be laughing. Mark Guehi's Premier League proven to be elite level at the top. I think he's that good. I think one-on-one defending is exceptional. I think he's got great aerial ability, superb passing ability, great partnership of course, Maxence Lacroix, who's another defender who's done very well at Crystal Palace, but alongside him beforehand, it was Anderson, who was brilliant at Crystal Palace as well. So for me, I think Mark Guehi has proven that he can be an excellent leader. And he's been known as kind of wearing the armband for the unders as well for England and also now for Crystal Palace at times. So I think this is an excellent signing for Man City. And I think it's one that will give them all a little bit of reassurance. I know it's panic stations right now, injury crisis, no defenders, but Mark Guehi coming in will just give that little bit of reassurance. And it doesn't matter who plays alongside him. I think he's an excellent defender. So that's Mark Guehi. Then we look at Antoine Semenyo. Now, I know a lot of people have got doubts over this signing, saying that actually he might not be able to step up to that level, but I want to see that to believe that. I think it's an exciting signing. I think it's a fair signing. The release clause is quite a lot of money, but if you look at what Eza's going for, Madueke's going for. You look at the other players like Jamie Gittins, Garnacho, João Pedro. They're all going for about that. So I actually don't think it's bad money whatsoever, particularly with the fact that he's probably the best left winger or right winger in the league right now. When you look at numbers and what he's done and how he's driven Bournemouth forward with probably the goals and assists that you'd expect from the likes of the players I've just mentioned and reeled off, and they haven't provided that. So the output from Semenyo is excellent. I always believe that players that are versatile, that can play across the front three like he could, albeit we've seen it on the right and left, I think he can actually do a job in the 10 and probably even in the false 9. I think he's that good. I think it's just an excellent piece of business from Manchester City at a time where they probably do need a little bit of a boost. Because I've got to be real with you. Everyone says that Manchester City's attack is levels above Arsenal's. And I would argue that actually, other than Haaland, it probably isn't. Foden and Cherki have come into the mix, but they've been a little bit hot and cold. You've got the wingers who have been poor, whether it's Semenyo, whether it's Marmoush, whether it's Doku, Oscar Bob. Trying to think who else really is there at the moment that's killing it. I don't really know many that are. So I've got to be honest. I don't think that this is a signing they don't need. I do think it's a signing that will push them forward. And it's one that Arsenal fans might worry about. Because what Manchester City might be able to say now is, with players coming back in their attack, they've probably got the best striker in world football. They've definitely got the best striker in the league. On the wing, they've got the winger that's scoring all the goals in the Premier League in Semenyo. They've bought the best goalkeeper in the last 2 seasons in Donnarumma, who's just won the Champions League. So, and then they looked at probably one of the most overperforming centre-backs in the Premier League of the last 2 seasons in Mark Guehi. Add Rodri to that with his injury coming back. Add Foden to the mix of that. Manchester City have got a really good team. My question mark is, and why I don't think it's the same City, is because I don't see the squad depth that Arsenal have. I don't think that Manchester City are in the same level or league when it comes to the strength of depth that Arsenal have. I really don't. I don't think the backup goalkeeper at Manchester City is one to have much of arguments with. I'm not too fond of Arsenal's in Kepa. But other than that, when you start going through the defence, I think Ben White and Julian Timber are better than what they've got at right back, which at the moment is just Mateus Nunes and maybe Rico Lewis. At left back, they've got Ait Nouri and O'Reilly, but is that better than the likes of Lewis Skelly, Calafiori and Nketiah? Probably not. At centre-back, we're definitely better than them with Gabriel and Saliba, but that's to say we're better than everybody in the league with those two. But with Nketiah and Mosquera backing up, as the backup of Ake and Kuzanov, better than that? I would argue no. Then you go into the midfield of Manchester City and you think Nico Gonzalez and Rodri are very good, but is that better than Zubimendi and Declan Rice? I don't think it is, if I'm honest. I think Rodri is, but I don't know that the backup is. And then, of course, you've got the quality in midfield up top, which they probably do have. We've got Eze and Erdegaard. They've got Foden and Cherki. Obviously, they've got Reinders, who I think has been excellent as well for them. I think he's a really good player. But on the attacks, I mean, Noni and Saka, Martinelli and Trossard, they've got Savio and Marmoush and Oscar Bob. They've got Doku. Nah, it ain't for me. So Semenyo and Guehi definitely make them stronger. Up top, they've got Haaland, who's better than all of our strikers, but who's backing them up? Well, they haven't got one. They have to be Marmoush or Foden as a false 9 or Cherki as a false 9. So really and truly, when you look at Manchester City, they've probably got a squad of about 14 or 15 players, whereas Arsenal have got a squad of about 24 to 25. And that's the difference. And I think that will be the difference come May, or should be the difference come May, that Arsenal win trophies because their squad's been so strong. If you look at the injuries we've had, we've dealt with them all very, very well. Manchester City, we're going to see how they deal with them now. But the reason I'm worried is because what they're doing is they're acting. And I hope Arsenal now react as well. Not just get anybody, pluck them out of the air and bring him in because Man City have signed someone, but actually strengthen. Go and see what this Buadi's saying at 18, because he's a box-to-box midfield with engine who's got potential, who can actually cover the legs of Declan Rice if he needs a rest, a suspension or an injury. Go and have a look if we can get a left winger, whether it's Yildiz or Rodrigo. Go and really shock the Man City faith to think, oh no, we've got Guehi and Semenyo. They've just bought Rodrigo and Buadi. Or a madness, let's say a striker or whatever it be. I think that's what Arsenal should do. But Manchester City will be a handful. Manchester City have got a great chance of winning the league as it is. I just think with Guehi and Semenyo coming in, I don't think you'll see the injuries hit as hard as perhaps they would without those two. Now, I'm not saying they've got loads of wingers that are out at the moment, but I think Semenyo starts for Manchester City right now. And I think that Guehi walks in and he might even displace one of Diaz or Gvardiol, depending on how he starts. So it's an excellent bit of business from Manchester City. It's superb. It's, for me, just what I'd expect from a Manchester City club that's run so well. And it's frustrating. It's annoying. But I'm still quietly confident, people. Let's see what happens in the game weeks. Let's see if Manchester City can keep their run going after their 2 draws. Let's see if they can get a bit of a bounce back from that. Let's see if Arsenal can continue their run, beating the likes of Liverpool, Forest and co. But I will say this. I think January could be massive for this title race. And I'm not just talking Semenyo and Guehi. I'm talking about what Man City might continue to do and also what Arsenal might react to do. So watch this space because it's going to be an interesting one. It really is. I think we'll see some action. And I think we'll see some activity from other clubs as well. You've got to be looking at Manchester United and Chelsea right now and thinking, what a mess. New managers, what do they want to see? It's January, windows open. You're probably going to see Liverpool and Tottenham going into the market. And maybe even Aston Villa, who didn't sign anyone in summer, let's remember. So I think we've got to, well, anyone of significance anyway. So I think we've got to remember that, there's 7-8 sides in this league, Newcastle included, that will probably spend this January market. So I expect it to be a busy one. As far as Manchester City are concerned, yeah, it's not what Arsenal fans want to be seeing. Semenyo and Guehi are 2 excellent signings. I'll say that. It might not turn out that way, but from what my understanding is, it will, because they're excellent players. So let's see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Does this change things for the title race? Let me know your thoughts. And make sure you do me a favor, people. Hit like and subscribe. Hit both those buttons. And hopefully we can hit 60K together. We'll see you soon. Until the next time, laters and up the Arsenal.